The content and opinions shared on Talking Random Ish are intended for entertainment and informational purposes. They reflect the personal views of the host and guests and do not constitute professional advice or represent any affiliated organization.
We're talking randomly. Talking random. We're talking randomly. Talking random.
Kyler, what can you do with that beat, Kyler?
Be honest with you, Rick, I have to sit and think. I just don't come out to talk my head a lot. I have to, and then I have to hear it. I don't say hear, I got to ear.
Yeah.
I got to hear.
Okay. Well, big cousin Damon Malice, one of his pieces. Yes, sir. Class of 90. Yes, sir. Class of 1990. See the show? Boy, that put me in mind, because, boy, this year in August, in the next couple of weeks, we having 91 is having their 35th reunion. Yes, sir. Boy, I can't imagine. 35 years been out of school, high school. It seems like time just getting away.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you how I know I'm 53. Because, boy, these knees and this back, ooh, boy, they wearing me out. And my eyes. Man, I really got to make a doctor's appointment. I got to get the eye checked. Because it's getting harder and harder for me to focus. It's like, man, I ain't never had no problem. I had to get the readers, had to go and get the readers because I couldn't strap my arm. You can't strap for so long. I had to break on down to get them reelers.
Indeed.
Hey, boy, got a few pads here, got a few pads in the car, got some at work. Man.
Hey, man, it starts out with readers, and all of a sudden you wearing them around the house, and all of a sudden you can't leave the house without them.
Man, like I say, because I was sitting here, man, this ain't, normally ain't. But now, I got to, so I'm going to have to go on and make that appointment.
Yes, sir.
Go on down there, boy.
Listen, they stylish nowadays, though, brother. For real.
I got to get the Malcolm X. I got to get the Malcolm X. I got to have the Malcolm X corn. Yeah. I got to have them. Who wasn't game? I got some fake ones. I used to wear the fake ones all the time.
Hey,
for the reunion, I got to put my fake glasses on. Yes, sir. That's how we did.
Now, just put some prescriptions in there. Put a prescription in there. You'll be all right.
I might be wearing prescriptions like this. For real. Man, it's funny, man. I'm like, man, just sitting there thinking. But yo, welcome back to Barbershop Talking Random Ish. I am your master barber, Enrique Dario. And in the building tonight, we got our brother, Mr. Tucker. Love is extraordinaire in the building. What's good with you, my brother?
Oh, man, I once again, it's all love, man. Appreciate you for inviting me, man. Love being in the barbershop, brother.
Hey, man, love to have you in here because anytime we can talk to somebody that specialize in helping us take care of our mentals is always a good thing for us, man. And I definitely enjoy anytime you can come in and anytime we can have you in here to have conversations on. Also got in the building my guy. I mean, like I say, he probably knew me before I knew me. Kiley Carter, what good with you, man?
I can't complain. I'm definitely glad that you invited me. I definitely appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
And appreciate the fact that you looking to help out, and it's an issue as far as the disability community as a whole, and the things that they experience
Yes, sir.
on a day-to-day.
Now, first part of the conversation, pretty good conversation. Talked about, you know, your ability to overcome your abilities. Wow, we had a bar right there. Wow, we had a bar.
You were asking what he could do with it. So he didn't be asking what you could do with it.
Y'all hear that one again. But along the way, I know personally, just watching, because like I say, since I've been doing this, it makes you more aware of things. You start to look at things, even though I'm not a news guy, when news is on, it catches your ear, you hear different things. And one thing you do notice and take notice of is there are not a lot, or there seems not to be a lot of places that the disabled community can have for themselves. As far as places, even as far as going out and kicking it. Every now and then you might see one little spot here and there for them. And to me, that is almost like we are forgetting a whole community. And then we have to talk about the criminal justice system and the disabled community. The workplace, what's the word I'm looking for?
Workforce?
The workplace, it's a negative word. The workplace, not making the conditions for making accommodations for people, workplace discriminations. The workplace discriminations. The discriminations in the justice system. Me and Kyle have been talking, and you've been showing me things, and your life has had some bumps and bruises.
Yes.
Can we talk about a few of those tonight?
Yeah. I don't know how in depth. We might have to revisit.
Well, we don't have to get in depth, but I just want, as much as you can, are willing to talk about and can talk about, some of the negatives towards your abilities. Not making things as comfortable, or making things so that you can come to work and be on a level playing field. Things of that nature. And I ain't talking about, because like you say, even for the school system, there was monies and things given to them. We know that their companies get monies and things for the disabled.
Yeah.
Are these companies using the money the way they should?
Well, I'm glad you actually brought it up, because that's how I was able to become employed with CDC, because what happened was they had congressional funding that was supposed to go to specific projects. And if anyone knows about the federal government, their year end is in October. So in October, they will start getting funding for 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So, how I was able to get involved or get employed by CDC is that they had a PWD program, and it stands for Persons with Disabilities. So, I in turn had to get a letter from Voc Rehab, and I think Gene Smith, he was my counselor at the time, but I had to get that, had to provide the necessary information, but I was actually hired at CDC, Persons with Disability, and what that means is they get 35 to 40% back of whatever salary that you come in at. They get it back. So as long as you are, fully successful in that type of thing, they get the funding. So it's not like you're a liability for that company, because like I said, they get 35 to 40% back. So if you're making $100,000, they get 35 to 40,000 back. So it's not a loss for them. And like I said, what happened was CDC got in trouble because they were taking congressional funding year in, trying to scramble and get it allocated, and they had people in secretarial backgrounds and that type of thing handling millions and millions of dollars.
I'm trying to. I don't want to. Well, I don't care about pissing nobody off, but I don't want to make. I want to be careful. You have to be careful how you say things, because you don't know who you want to offend. But we do know that our justice system has issues with mental health, disabled people. You see it all the time. Some man is stopped, a woman or something that's shot and killed, and this person, and they don't, and the person might not have understood what's even going on because they're not mentally able to do that. Kiley, if you get pulled over by a car, and they asked you to walk a line, to me that wouldn't be safe for you.
No, it wouldn't. And I've actually experienced that exact thing. It was up in Walnut Grove. Cop pulled me over. I was actually on 24-hour response for the CDC. And I was in a BMW 5-speed, and when I pulled out of the store, right there in Walnut Grove, the area that he stopped me in was right there. They didn't always have a package store, so I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but right there in Walnut Grove, they got a package store, but they didn't have it at the time. Anyway, that's where he pulled me over. And he came to the car and whatnot. He said, well, you pulled off kind of fast, and I didn't do but like 20 miles an hour, so I knew, so he was like, he wanted me to walk a straight line. I said, I ain't never walked a straight line in my life. I can't do it for you tonight. So I never walked a straight line. So I got out of the car, and he did my eyes and that type of thing. And he said, have a nice day, and so forth, and he let me go. But what I realized after that was it's discriminatory to ask a person with a disability to do the field sobriety. And especially me, because if I tried to walk a straight line, he's going to see the walk. put your hands behind your back and lock me up for DUI. You know, and a lot of times that's sad to say, but a lot of times that's what's happening. But you know, in that case, it didn't. But yeah, I have been asked to do the field sobriety. That's something that I can't pass.
Right.
So
I think that you know, on that, you know, we've been talking about, you know, the invisibility piece, right? For you, I would imagine that it would be, you know, great to actually have advocates and to be able to have people who have an understanding of that, right? And so part of it is understanding when discrimination is happening, and part of it is the work that we put in as a community and as a society to stick up for folks, because that's really the bottom line of it. It's being able to bring humanity back into this and not say that a person who is differently abled is, you know, deserves any kind of harassment or any kind of discrimination. It's being able to say that we will stick up for that person. For the kids who are in the school system, for instance, I know that there is the Cool Kids Advocate, for instance, Nicole Hull. She actually does a lot of great work with kids and making sure that everybody has an equal opportunity to be represented well in the school community. And part of what she does is make sure that she holds school systems accountable for making sure that everything is equal within the school system. And some of that work, you know, I know happens, you know, for people who are differently abled when we become adults, because much like that same situation, like you said, you couldn't walk the straight line. What happens when we start holding those same policemen accountable as well? So I think that, you know, to that particular point, part of our work is encouraging and uplifting those people who are doing that work as well when it comes to accessibility to services that allow people to be seen as human. Unfortunately, we still have to, as a society and even and definitely as a community, still stick up for, you know, one another when it comes to making sure that we're doing all the work that we can so that doesn't happen. We get a chance to call it out as it is and make sure that we actually say something to the people, and you know, the people who actually need to be held accountable in those particular spaces. And all the reason why I'm actually speaking up in that way is because it's also a reminder to people like me who will pass by you, you know, on the side of the road and be like, nah, let me pull over real quick, or let me go ahead and whip my phone out. Definitely these days, you know what I'm saying? Because like all of this is making sure that we hold people accountable when we see harassment happening on the streets. It needs to be communal to me. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, you know, we have the professional services definitely, but I've seen community do some amazing things, you know, when it comes to protecting, you know, our own. And brother, you are our own. You know what I mean? So that becomes a thing, and we have an understanding of what you could face. And I appreciate being able to sit here and learn from you about other ways that I could actually support you. Because in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, what would have happened if I would have passed by you in that same situation? Like what could I have done to help you out to make sure that you didn't have to face as much harassment as you did in that spot?
I watch this show. I watch a lot of shows. I watch a show called Atypical. It's on Netflix. And it's about a kid named Sam. He's autistic. Well, he had an encounter one night. He tried to go spend the night with a friend. And of course the friend they're not set up for him. So he can't sleep. So he get out and start walking. Well, while he's walking home, a cop comes up. So of course, he's now in panic mode. And he doesn't, and he starts fidgeting.
Yes.
Because that's one of his coping mechanisms with his autism. He starts fidgeting. And so the cops try to stop him, and he doesn't stop. And so now the cop is pulling up on him and going in, and it gets bad. And now the dad gets involved, who, you know, now the family's involved. And the question becomes the training. Is there enough training for law enforcement when it comes to dealing with differently abled people?
I'm gonna say this. I mean, I'll let you answer this one too. I'm just gonna say it real quick. There's not enough training at all for some of these guys when it comes to mental health, when it comes to differently able people, when it comes to any of it, and it's much needed, for them. I know that I can say that some of it is effort, but it has to also be interest. You know what I mean?
Yes. And
I would love to see them interested in being able to increase it. But I know that this is also your lived experience. So yes. I'm only saying that piece and then wondering what your lived experience is like too.
What I would say is this, Rick, it is just sad, but in my lived experience is zero accountability right now when it comes to the disability and a person, because I've been tracking it for over 20 years. As far as I got video after video after video of cops, and for me, when I say cops, I'm talking about constitutional officials in public service. That's what it means for me. But when you got zero accountability, that means, and I'm pretty sure you're aware, you remember when this girl called, and I actually saw the video on YouTube, but they took it down. The girl called, the guy dragged her, she called for help, because she was having an episode. Where they dragged her to the car, 5 feet, shut the door, and so forth, and then and she only about 115 pounds. They come on TV and say, hey, she kicked the door open, the car going 60 miles an hour, and if anybody's been in the back of a police cruiser, it's too tight. It's tight, you can't move, that type of thing, so it's bull, but and I say that to say this, I did the research, I have video where a public official in law enforcement asked his trainees, would you, in order to save the county money, would you cripple a suspect or would you kill a suspect? And I actually, you got it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And one of the trainees raised his hand and said, kill. And he said, absolutely. And so, I mean, I like to come back, but, at a later date. But I mean, when I say I got video after video, I got, I think I sent Rick one video where this older guy, he was deaf. And he was trying to reach for his deaf placard to let the cops know. They gung-ho, beat him, messed his eye socket up, the whole nine. Okay, when they get in the police cruiser and run his information, oh shit, he's deaf. Well, and then one of the other cops, because at first they was laughing. I mean, they bawling out laughing, and then to cover up, well, we're gonna say what the other cops say. We're gonna say that he didn't have his placard visible. You see, and there was another situation where this guy was in a 300. He was a black guy in a 300. And they stopped him, and he had issues where he trembled and that type of thing, and he had a cane. And he told the cop, he said, I'm getting my cane. That's, along that effect. Okay, when he put his hand on the cane, Rick, they snatched the cane out of his hand, beat him up.
Oh, wow.
Real bad. You know what I'm saying? So then, and this is all on video. So they got him in the car. He said, "What?" He said, "Why?" And I'm not picky, but he was like, Why did y'all do this?" Okay, they beat him up so bad that when they took him to intake, the nurse was like, "Oh no, we're not taking. Y'all got to go get him medical."
Oh wow.
That's what the nurse said. She said, "No, we're not taking." They had put him in the holding cell, and then you can hear the audio of the cops laughing and joking, and then you hear come over the audio, come back and see us, you little bitch. You hear them say that. And see, here's the thing. It's zero accountability right now. So, you know, which you know my family. I got a family that's a partner in a law firm. And she basically say, hey, don't call the police. You know, and she just didn't say it to me, but honestly speaking, right now, and it's been going on for the last 20. If you're disabled, you're probably 33 to 50% of the time you call, because the most recent, you know, you call, you could get injured or killed. The most recent deal happened where this guy wasn't disabled. He called because they were shooting and so forth at him. He called the police for help. He ended up losing his arms and legs. You know, and I know you might have seen it, but he ended up, because I think Ben Crump is trying to represent him, but they wouldn't get him medical attention. So he ended up losing his feet and his hands. And, you know, like I said, I got firsthand knowledge that when they do lock you up or detain you, I mean, it's some of the worst conditions that you would ever imagine. And then you just, somebody like myself that's been independent my whole life, you know, to have to keep yourself together, not shed tears and that type of thing, because I have done it, you know, especially when you know you've been wrong and they don't care. And you have to respect, you know, you have to respect the CO or whoever, because they're just trying to do a job. But the psyche of a person that's doing a job like that, many of these guys that are COs and that type of thing, they got PTSD. They don't supposed to have guns and stuff like that, but slip through the cracks. And so it's real scary. I mean, I have been locked up for 43 days on a minor infraction. Nothing jailable, nothing violent. But I'm talking about locked up for 43 days in medical. That's 23 and a half hours a day locked up. The jails and so forth, I don't know about federal, but the state, most of them, they are not ADA compliant. But guess what? Nobody's coming in checking on them. Nobody's coming in checking on them. Therefore, you don't have the accountability. You don't have accountability because of the 43 days I did. My whole biological structure changed. So now I can sit, like y'all don't have, you know, like you short sleeve. I can sit in this, I won't sweat. You know, it has to be super hot. I'm just now getting back to where I'm sweating because, like I said, it was so cold that they put me in the cell with a guy that was mentally, he wasn't there. Physically, he was. Mm-hmm. Because I done dealt with this my whole life, I can get along with it. And they thought because the average person, they can't get it because the way the guy is. Because what I'm saying is in the 43 days, I had to share a cell with him for 2 weeks. And if you had to use the bathroom and so forth, I'm over there using the bathroom, he'll come, not that he was looking at me, but he'll just come stand at the door, looking out the door, and you're trying to take care of business. And they ended up moving me out of the cell with him. And he didn't supposed to be by himself. You know what I'm saying? The little sleeping deal picked it up and was hitting the door. And if anybody, they call it a boat, but it's a plastic deal that you got to sleep in. Mm-hmm. He took it, picked it up, and I could see it on the monitor. You know, he took it. He was hitting the door, and they moved him and put him in a cell with this other guy, and the other guy couldn't handle him like that. So the other guy was doing a number one. He was pissing. Justin was at the door, man. That guy went bananas. So they had to get him out. But long story short, it is so, it is inhumane. And at the state level, man, it's nothing you can do. Only thing I say after I got out, I did 43 days. My cousin, my relatives, man, I got a whole different respect for you. Do you understand that 43 days is like 6 months in the hole? You know, and you gotta understand what it does to you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It really is traumatic. You know what I'm saying? And then this is the thing. They could care less.
Yes. So that's my next question. ADA. What does that mean? And I want to make sure I say it correctly. What does ADA mean?
American Disability Act.
Okay. There's not a governing body that's in there that goes out and makes sure. I mean, like OSHA, because anybody that don't work in a plant know OSHA. There's a governing body. If OSHA have to come out and take something, there's no checks and balances for this stuff to make sure that these things, the training, are supposed to happen.
From my understanding and my dealing and my first-hand knowledge, and they could care less, because this is the thing. They'll get you in there, and the doctor that's contracted, because what you got to realize now, Rick, and it wasn't always like that, but now the jails and the prisons are privately funded, so it's a whole different ball game. And so when you're looking at that, I have heard them, and see, this is the thing. When you're locked up, if you don't have a support system, Rick, to be honest with you, and I'd like you to chime in on it, mm-hmm. For the disabled, man, it's really a place of death. As far as you really, because the environment is so jacked up, and most people in the jails, they need certain things, but they can't get it. But the thing is, once them doors shut, and I've heard the nurse and the doctor say, like, I've heard them say, well, hey, it's what we say. So even if you're honest and you tell them your medical issues and the whole nine, it still goes with what they say. And since it's privately ran, they don't care. Because it's about, if I don't have this bed, now this is what I'm saying, the state of Georgia. State of Georgia have to have 75, I'm saying 75%, I don't know the exact number, but because they have a contract, Clark County has to have, or any of these, there's 159 counties in Georgia, they have to have certain amount. Don't they violate, then the private partners sue the state because they're not meeting quota. So you take, for example, our friend Mike. Mm-hmm. Mike got locked up, and they said failure to appear for a fingerprintable charge, and he was wanted in Gwinnett. Well, first of all, how can Mike drive to Gwinnett? And what it was an error in identity. And the funny thing is, I know it was bull, because guess what? They lock him up, process him, and he stays in jail a couple of hours, when you're disabled, you ain't gonna stay in there a couple of days. They'll at least keep you 72 hours. Okay, they're getting funding for them 72 hours. And so this is the thing. Last incident with Mike, they said failure to appear for a fingerprintable charge. He don't have any arms.
Yeah, that's what that.
So, and then they turn around. This is the kicker now. They know it was bull because they let him out for $1. You understand? Because I looked it up, and I've never seen Mike cry. The mugshot, because I screenshot it. I seen him cry, and it's a situation where it's zero accountability. And what's happening with Clark County, the turnover to get qualified people to be police officers and so forth. The turnover is so high that they're not getting the training. They getting a little training. They putting them out in the field in so many weeks. I don't have the video now, but I actually had a video of Clark County, and it's a 30-minute video, but it was talking about the high turnover rate and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I can just say it's unfair, you know, but that's kind of what's on the table. And, you know, like I said, what you know, I've did the research and so forth, it's just dangerous, you know, for, you know, especially when they've already told, you know, that's why cops kill and don't, even though this is the thing, you go through the academy and you're taking all of this training and so forth to be able to subdue a person without deadly force. But because it's privately ran and so forth, you know, it's unsaid, but for the disability community, like I said, it's, you know, I sent you the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
As far as 7 times, 33, you know, 7 times more likely, 4 times more likely, depending on your disability. And see, you know, it's scary for me now because I have family that fall under the ADA umbrella, but they do not look it. So therefore, it's trouble. Because what I'm saying, when I say they don't look it, they under the same umbrella that I am,
Mm-hmm.
but you would never know it if they didn't tell you. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's not right, but that's where we at, you know.
So, Doc, have you had a case or talked to someone that's been through these systems and mentally messed up, and they need to try to figure what are you getting out of it? You know, how do you help them?
Yeah, I think I think that there are a couple things, right? Because number one, as far as accessibility is concerned, there's so many places that we can call out, but especially, you know, the institution of incarceration, we can certainly call it out. The truth is that, you know, humane treatment is deserved by every person, regardless of, you know, that particular space. So you would hope that, you know, they would get it, but, you know, from what, you know, you've been saying and from what I've actually seen in my own, you know, spaces, it doesn't feel like it's always been humane. I mean, we can talk about, you know, good and all that kind of stuff, but honestly, and this is me coming from a personal space, man, honestly, there are times when I just don't see it happening. There are times when I will see a person who has an issue, whether it's a physical or mental disability, whatever you want to, you know, however you may slice it, and that person is underserved as soon as they get into those walls.
Yes.
And that's a black hole for a person, especially when they don't have anybody, right? So it's doubly. It's like, first off, you have a disability of some kind, and then you don't have anybody at all.
Yeah.
Who's gonna call up and make sure that you're okay? You know what I'm saying? Like that it becomes a double situation. And so, what do I see? I see a whole bunch of opportunities and spaces for us to actually try and make a difference. But for people who come out of those spaces, it's really tough to actually acclimate yourself to actually being back out here. It's a different world behind those bars,
yeah,
right? And it's a different way that people actually treat you when you're behind those bars. Those same people in those uniforms, for instance, there's a possibility that person in that uniform is going to see you as less than human on the base level, and then add a disability on top of that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about? Like, the two of us being in the same cell, neither one of us are human to some people. But then you add a disability on top. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
that becomes
less than you not being a human.
If you want me to talk as a therapist, you know, we can talk about, like, how people come out, and we can talk about the need for continued care, and we can talk about the need for people, especially people with disabilities coming out of those spaces, having that trauma, being able to work it through. We can talk about that. But honestly, man, brother to brother, honestly, it shouldn't be happening in the first place. This brother shouldn't be in a situation where his whole entire system is different because his accommodations weren't there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing, Rick. Like, even the food, it messes you. It causes it caused me an internal blockage. Meaning, I went from using the bathroom every day to getting locked up, not using the bathroom, not as far as number 2.
Yeah.
Not using the bathroom for 8-9 days. But I'm used to using it every day. So it causes an internal blockage. On top of that, when you do go to the bathroom, because you're sleeping on iron, you're sleeping on hard plastic, it causes hemorrhoids. And they don't talk about it. But I did the research. There's plenty of inmates that have it, but don't. A lot of them, some report it, some don't. But they do not care. Only thing they're gonna give you is some cream. And hey, we'll see you in a couple hours, or when medical comes back around. And they could care less. They pretty much treat a person that's disabled. You did something or whatever, they treat you like you're already guilty. And think about someone, like I know people, or I was locked up with people, this guy, only reason he in there because his probation officer wouldn't come and see him. Now, he's got one leg, his mother's died, which was his transportation. He let his probation officer know. Probation officer took advantage of the situation where you didn't show up, lock him up. And then what they do is, when you definitely don't have a support system, man, you're a cash cow. Straight up and down, you're a cash cow. And they're getting $350, $400 a day, $450 a day for you.
Because they're supposed to be supplying services.
Certain things. Yeah. And then ain't nobody checking the records because they're able to, I call it doctor the books.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you know that I'm under the disability umbrella, therefore you can charge this, this, and this, or you can bill this, this, and this, and you're gonna get it back.
Yeah.
And if I could add just one small thing, I could safely say that I know that there are people that, that I know and that other people know that, maybe listening to this thinking to themselves, I know my person, the person that I know who I may be close to, and my family who works in law enforcement, who works in the jail, or works in the prisons, I know that if you ran into them, they'll take care of you. We're not talking about them.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two,
it's a system.
Even if you have those people, even if you can name them in this a large amount of the population, you shouldn't have the story that you got. And that's the problem. The problem isn't how many people you have who are good or bad. The problem is that this is a possible story, and that's the work that needs to be done. It's making that impossible, making your story, any of the stories that you're telling about law enforcement should not even be the norm. You shouldn't have as many videos on your phone or anything like that. It should be that that's where accountability is actually happening, in the spaces where harm is being done consistently. Those are the conversations that need to be had in these spaces where law enforcement is doing the harm.
Yeah. It's the system. The system, because we know that there are some people that care.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the system that's broken. If the system is broken, I don't care how many people you get there that gonna care. If the system is trashed from the top to the bottom, and has been trashed for as long as it's been in existence, how can it change under the present guidelines?
Oh, well, I mean, you just, and I you know what? I want to hear you because I think that in my mind, I'm like, it's a constant fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that since 1990, for instance, and you tell me how you feel about this, but I'm thinking since 1990, it's been a fight forever. Like, we're just now getting to points where there are kids who have accessibility to things they should have had accessibility to 30 years ago.
And you know, to piggyback off of that, you know, I totally agree. It's gotten worse. Because, see, for me, you know, it traumatized me so bad because, you know, when you're growing up and you do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You do the right thing, and then you still get persecuted. And my thing is, and I had a friend of mine tell me, he said, you too smart for your own good. And
that.
But my thing is, you know, because I've had a couple people say, Kiley, you think too deep. And my response to that is, nah, I don't think too deep. You just think too shallow. Or, you know, I've had classmates and so forth. Kiley, you think you know everything. Nah, I don't know everything, but you don't know enough, and you're not going to penalize me for what I do know. Because basically, in my case, I know that I was a target. Why? Because I pretty much beat a system that's already broke, and it was designed to stop me. You understand? Because what I'm saying, Rick, because I grew up in the Kingdom Hall before they put me in the special ed and so forth, singing and being out there, and then the teachers at that time in the 70s calling your name, y'all need to be like Kiley. So basically, they needed a placeholder, bro, as far as Kiley is concerned, and they knew, okay, we can give him extra time, but nah, we're gonna put him over here because they needed it to work. T-Man mother, they had crippled children clinic, and when they had it here in Athens, it was right across from Piedmont. The building's still there. T-Man dad, T-Man mom was my nurse for crippled children clinic, and so forth. And like I said, me, because I know that CP for me stood for Creator's Purpose, so I embraced it. Because when I went to the crippled children clinic, Rick, and I'm 4 and 5 years old, and I'm seeing a kid that is in a wheelchair, and they got the pad right there, and they, you know, they can't move, they can't do the things I'm doing, it made me appreciate, you know, and think, and so like, and thank the Creator, because I know it could have been a lot worse. But it's so sad when you have people in position and they won't do anything about it, or they allow it. You know what I'm saying? Or they try to blame you. And my whole thing is, I'm like, you know, when would it kick in for you? You know what I'm saying? A person that got straight legs, why won't it kick in? Hey, let me appreciate what I have. So what I would say to that is, like I said, when I came home in the 3rd grade crying, and that what she did was she said, Kiley, would you rather be crippled in the legs or crippled in the head? She said, that little boy that wouldn't let you play kickball said, he crippled in the head. But when she told me, you know, I thought about it. She said, would you rather be crippled in the head or legs? I said, the legs, because I understand that, like I said, you can have straight legs, but your mind ain't there. You see? And so, though her words were few to me, it planted a seed for me to say, hey, you know, I gotta, you know, we need to do something. I always tried to be my very best. At whatever I did, I always tried to be the best. Why? Because, first of all, you're going to see my walk before you see my talk.
Right.
You know, so I've always tried to, you know, be, you know, on top of my game. You know, honestly, when I went to CDC, they used to call me Mr. CDC because I came in, I dressed it, I smelled it. You know, I pretty much, that's what it was. And I mean, you know, I'm not bragging, but, you know, that's just how it was. In my career at CDC, I had to medically retire in 16 because I got injured. But I managed, my largest budget was like $278 million for the stockpile. And the stockpile had the DOC, which is the emergency response, where, you know, I had a two-way page. I was on call 24 hours. So if they called me and we had an exercise or whatever, you know, I went to work 12 o'clock at night. You know, and that type of thing. So it really hurts me now because you have people in position that's not nearly as intelligent or smart and that type of thing. And then when they see somebody like yourself, or, you know, like yourself or myself, they got a problem with it. And they hide behind the system. And the system is the policy, the regulations that they have in place. And like I said, you know, from what I'm looking up and trying to do research on, and I'm going to get back with Rick a little later, it's nothing out there. And that's the sad part about it, because pretty much now, you know, I had one video where this guy was retired military, but he was actually going out training police. They were doing training and so forth, and he would train them, and he would tell them, you know, this is in case if you get a lawsuit for killing a person. I mean, he was actually training them how to pretty much get away with murder and deal with the insurance and that type of thing. And he ex-military, but these are the type of things that I saw or I have seen in my 20 years that I've been looking at video and so forth. And got a couple videos on my own where they had me stretched out on the ground, didn't believe I had cerebral palsy. You know.
So when you're talking about a system, right, what you're really talking about is having a world where you and I have an equal chance at doing the same thing, right? Because that's what systems are, right? Systems are set up to ensure the safety and the accountability of people.
Supposed to.
Right. That's what I mean by like supposed to, right?
To.
Sorry, I'm supposed to do that, right?
Yes.
But when it is that any one of us can have it easier because the world is not accommodating for another person, then we do the disservice as a society. The system does a disservice to a population, because it should be that the system works for everybody.
Yes. Literally
everybody should be able to actually benefit and be comfortable in the system. Everybody should be able to actually find, you know, some sort of safety, or at least understanding that they can actually leave the system unchanged.
Absolutely.
If we're saying that the system is not accommodating, then to your point, that's where we actually need to start doing the repairs in the actual system. But if you're asking me as a therapist, if you're asking me as a person who likes community, that means that we as a community have to start within ourselves, recognizing that everybody has the opportunity for equality.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that we hold these other systems accountable and we don't hold ourselves accountable. It can't be that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be that we are also demonstrating that every person has, you know, equal access to the same table that we eat at.
Absolutely. I don't know if you can answer this question, but I want another part of this conversation. But is there a way to get an official from the ADA, from the whatever, so we can have a conversation with them? so we can kind of understand the system.
To be honest with you, Rick, I can't really answer that at this moment. Now, I did research because I've tried to find out who the ADA point of contact is for this area, as far as when you run into issues. But I haven't been able to do it, and I can say this: when it comes to the disabled and the special needs, it's a systematic bias. That's just what it is. It's a systematic bias. The national data shows it, as far as when you're talking about an $86 billion industry with the jails and the prisons, and they're privately owned and that type of thing. Here's what you come into, and he probably can speak on it. What they do right now is, by the 9th grade, right? By the 9th grade, a lot of our kids that look like me and you, they have IDP. By the 9th grade, okay. By the 9th grade, if they can't read on a 9th grade level, guess what? They take those numbers, and those numbers of the kids that can't read by the 9th grade, they turn around and say, okay, we got X amount can't read. This is how many prisons we're going to need, because they're in the 9th grade now and they can't read. So what will they be doing later on? They can't read now, but they still got to live. And since we know they can't read, they take those numbers and then they say, well, we need this many prisons built based off of those numbers. So, I mean, like I said, you got, especially when you got, I'm just thankful I had a support system. My dad, he was like, if I fell down, don't touch Spoke, leave him alone. He got to get up on his own. And I'm so glad that he was tough on me. And my mom, she never, Annette never allowed me to say, hey, I'm going to go work in a plant. Even though my senior year and junior year, I was working full time. I was working full time. I was working full time weekend at DuPont and Pizza Hut, and I was going to school. But my mom kept telling me, "Tyler, you can't do that. You gotta, you gotta get a degree. You gotta get a degree." And I see how important it is, because it don't guarantee everything, but it makes it a little easier. Or it did. Now 2026, it's, it don't look good for us. You know what I'm saying? And so somebody like myself that at 55, I'm considered a senior now, to see some of the things that I see going on for our community, I know, we in a bad way. We're in a bad way, because, like I say, it's a systematic bias. The records show that it's disproportionate. We only make up 15% of the total population, yet we make up 40% of the total population in the jails and the prison. We make up 40%. That means that they have guys locked up, no arms and no legs. What did they do now? They got no arms, no legs, they locked up. They're not, when we came up in the 70s, you had mental institutions, so you didn't necessarily lock them up in the jails. Now, the disability community is a cash cow, because once you get locked up and those doors close and you don't have a support system, you're done. And I really, me personally, without a support system, if you're disabled and you get locked up, it's pretty much the way the jails are set up now and how they keep them, as far as the coldness and that type of thing, they do it, and it's pretty much killing you. You know, because it like I said, it definitely changed my molecular structure in the whole nine, and I'm just now getting to where, you know, I feel a little better, but you know, the damage is done, and so you can't reverse it. See, like with cerebral palsy and that type of thing, you know, I already have tight muscles, so when you snatching on me and that type of thing, and you trying to do this, you know, or you trying to do that, you don't know anything about cerebral palsy. And see, most of the lockups, it's only 1%, you know, let's say 5,000 people get killed by the police. 2,600 is disabled or under that umbrella. And then when you asking for a white collar to come to the scene because you got a disability, 1% of the cases. But you're talking about if 5,000 people get killed, and I've done the research, I know the numbers. If 5,000 people get killed, 2,600, 2,550, something like that, they're disabled. They're under that umbrella. And they've already told them, do not cripple, kill them.
We can continue. I told you. Did I tell you? We got to figure out a way. We have to figure out a way. We have to figure out a way. And we're not going to stop having these conversations. I can't stop having these conversations because if nothing else, we have to turn a light on to this stuff. Damn. That's all I can say is damn. I usually have come up with some cute words to say at the end, but I have nothing to say because this is so mind-boggling and mind-blowing that.
Can I offer a few words?
Yes, please,
Cool.
please.
I'm gonna say it like this. The reason why I've been talking a lot about community has been because making people human does start with us.
Yes.
And when you're talking about how do we change things, it is within the humanity in which we start demonstrating that we are there. And so part of it is conversation, but part of it is holding ourselves to a higher standard so that anytime we run into someone, it's not jump scares or talking negatively or talking in a bad light about people with disabilities. Is being able to see the humanity in that person. It's a beautiful thing to have a conversation with with you right now because you and I get a chance to talk, and I'm glad that we got a chance to meet. My hope is that as you go about, everything else that you'll be doing for the rest of the week, and honestly just for the rest of life, that people look at you as a human being. Because even if we're going beyond the system, again, it starts with community. It starts with the way that we treat each other and the way that we stick up for each other and the humanity by which we actually demonstrate, those particular spaces. It starts with the way that we stick up for each other whenever things are happening. And when laws are coming down the pike, are we paying attention to the spaces where the disabled community could be affected by the thing that might be, affecting them? That's the work that has to be done, because sometimes it is that we as a community are that, that stopgap, that space that, has to be there in order to make sure that people are protected. We need to have those conversations with the officers and the people who are in control of the institutions. We have to have those, conversations with our public officials. We have to have those conversations with the lawmakers, with everybody involved. But, it definitely starts as a community with us being able to see all of us as human beings and putting humanity in that. And I think that shows like this challenge every person listening to see humanity in a person who may be differently able than them. Our continued work is making sure that humanity continues beyond the barbershop.
your wifey, she made a statement. She was talking about with the homelessness. There's a direct correlation between the state dissolving mental institutions and the increase in homelessness.
Exactly. I'm glad she brought that out. It's so true. And like I said, we can't get into it tonight, but I'm definitely gonna, we definitely gotta.
Yeah. Oh, this is far from being done.
Oh yeah, you can't.
This conversation is far from being.
You can't stop.
No.
You can't stop the conversation
because I know for sure Dexter Fisher is going to be back in here, and this is another question that I have for him as our incoming mayor about some of these things. And
but see, you know, even having access to those people, right? You ask those questions because we can't. The only thing we can really do with history is learn from it. The best thing that we can actually do is move forward based on what we know doesn't work, right? So that's what we have to do. We have to move forward knowing the lessons we've learned. And so when you and Dexter are sitting, across from each other, I mean, absolutely. Ask those questions and make sure that both of you get a chance to leave with an understanding of each other, because that's what these conversations are for, is to understand. Yeah. So challenge it. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be it. The one thing that I would encourage any person with a disability, if they have access to their doctors and so forth, for me now it's important, and I'm not changing subjects, but T.I. did an album called Paper Trail, and he got a song on there called Paperwork. And what I would say to anybody that's disabled now, you have to carry your paperwork with showing that you're disabled to get it to the office. Because if you don't, see, what I found out in my study before this show is because of HIPAA, they don't keep account of a person's disability. So even though I'm telling them I have cerebral palsy and they see a hang tag, if I don't have paperwork, official paperwork that says I have this, and this, it's a problem. And what happens is the cops get a pass because of this. So I say now I kind of understood what T.I. was saying within the song, because he was like paperwork, and people don't realize how important paperwork is, or they might not, and even myself, I say I have CP, but for me, I identify with cerebral palsy, but before cerebral palsy, Jeremiah 1:5 say the Creator knew me before He placed me in the room, so I got CP, I got Creator's purpose first, and I've been, tampling around for probably, like I said, I did a shirt back in '92. And I did other stuff. The shirt that I was working on for the show, I didn't get it done, but it'll be done by the next show. But basically, when I say, hey, don't let your mind be like this sign, don't be cripple-minded. You can be cripple-minded in so many areas. Me, myself, I'm the designer of the shirt. But sometimes I have been cripple-minded. Meaning, and not intentionally. What I mean by that, sometimes cripple-minded, you can trust the wrong people. You can want something for a person better than they want for themselves. And you want it for this person. You want it for this person. But in turn, they don't want it for themselves. And I found myself being on the receiving end of, hey, I'm trying to, sit at somebody's table or deal with a person that don't want to deal with me. So I'm cripple-minded in my own situation. So, I just say, hey, again, keep your paperwork with you, and don't argue back and forth. If you come in contact and you don't have it, best advice I can say is remain silent. You know.
We're gonna get ready to get up out of here. Thank you for this conversation.
You're more than welcome, and thank you, your wife, thank my brother here for having me, and I definitely want to be back.
Oh, you definitely gonna be back.
Maybe, cause I actually gotta reach out and set up an appointment with Dexter, because like I say, I got some things going on, so I definitely gotta reach out to him.
Yeah, but if there's anybody that's hearing the sound of my voice and that's heard any parts of this conversation and that can help us further this conversation along with having the conversation with the right people so we can get a better understanding of the system, of the brokenness of the system, and is there a possibility for the system to be fixed? Please holler at your boy. I'm easily found. Talking Random Missions on all social medias. Wherever you pod, we cast. Please holler at your folks, because we have to continue these conversations, because these people, the people that we are trying to look over, are not invisible. These are our people. These are people that's in our community. These are our people. We have to take care of us. And if we are letting the disabled slip through the cracks and get treated inhumanely, we are failing them. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. This game called life is a series of moments. The past is just that, the past. Learn from it and be thankful for it. The future, prepare for it. It's coming. Let's get to the next one. The present, it is a gift. Enjoy the journey. Take plenty of pictures. But most importantly, thank God. I want to thank you, brothers, for being here tonight.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's time to clean the clippers. We're going to sweep these here flows. Yeah, I got the damn bathroom. I got the damn bathroom. So it's becoming part of my duties, weekly. The damn bathroom. In the words of Rita Lawson's son, Odabo Jack, the shop is closed. Yes, sir.
We're talking randomly. Talking random. We're talking randomly. Talking random.